Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI Interconnect podcast. I'm your host, Lauren. This show is about real conversation with founders and operators building in complex and evolving industries. At AI Interconnect, we focus on sharing authentic insights from leaders across AI, cybersecurity, PropTech, FinTech, and data driven sectors. Today, I'm joined by Margaret Dibor, a business partner at Etuteki Labs and other company. And Etuteki Labs focuses on cybersecurity, risk management, and software design to help CEO understand and prioritize data security risk. Margaret, thank you for being here. Very happy to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Laura, for inviting me.
It's a pleasure and a friendly conversation. I always like to start with your background so listeners understand the path that led you here. You can see a strong technical foundation in your journey, especially with your background in networking and cybersecurity across different countries. How did your background in computer networking and enterprise environment led you to start Etuteki Lab and focus on cybersecurity risk for CEOs?
Yeah. So I have been really, as you mentioned, for me, that was quite a journey of through first being technical and design the networks, then moving to cybersecurity or data protection, and eventually combine, I would say, all those experience. And I have quite high understanding really on the various level. What is the need for data protection? And obviously, during years, we have massive development of technology. So what was relevant, I don't know, even few years back, right now is not as much. So obviously there is a lot developments and a lot concentration what really is current. So for Etuteki Lab, my realization, combined all my experience, was that basically the most important part in any organization is to first understand the risks and align with the business. That was the main really principle, whatever you're doing. Whatever you design the networks or you design cybersecurity posture, or you try to understand what is needed to protect the data, whatever you call it on those areas, you always have to start with the business. And they have to understand why you're doing certain things and why the certain things are required. So that was the principle. For me personally, was overall understanding, okay, so we have to concentrate on the risk because without understanding risk, prioritization and build up the categorization really of the risk is very hard to build up any system. And that's include data protection systems.
Yeah, well, I love it. I'm very intrigued by all this. This is very tech, but what early moment made you realize that you wanted to build your own company?
So I have my company in England where I was more on technical side really, but slowly as technology developed, that starts shifting. That was basically the beginning, like cybersecurity. So more patching, hardening than cybersecurity per se or data protection. But then I realized that there is, all the systems are going to cloud and everything is more digitalized. And so it's more needed and more required to protect the data. That protection is going out of the scope like IT responsibilities really. It's much wider topic and much more spread.
Okay. What stand out is that you're not only offering services, but also building a software platform focused on awareness and risk prioritization. Margaret, when you explain Etuteki Lab to someone outside cybersecurity, how do you describe what you actually do and who you serve?
So, especially with the software, we try to help CEOs to understand, as I mentioned, the risk and prioritization and categorization of the risk within the business and align with the business. Because this is the most important caveat. You can't apply strategically, you can't apply risk to the business if it's is just paste and copy from somewhere, but it's not aligned with the business and doesn't reflect the business problems and business involvement. So it's a shift from technical aspects going to business focus, very business focus.
Okay. And why did you choose to combine risk management services with software development?
So software, it's a tool, it's a kind of calculator that would help businesses to have that visual representation of the risks. That's basically we're aiming for, and build up via that visual representation, aiming to show CEOs really how the posture right now look like, what is needed, what is required. It's always is down to the highest management to make that decisions. And usually this is the business decision. Do we want to do something or not? So they have all the information in one place, which is allow them to make that business decision, what we really do. So we just provide information in very clear, readable way for CEOs, included the financial aspects, to give them that tool to make that decisions. What we want to do, what we can't do, what would be good to do, and build up based on that one their own strategy. So that's the aim.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. Okay, very cool. Then which type of client get the most value from your work today?
So right now we really concentrate on highly regulated sectors. So I have years of experience working in healthcare, fintech also, so government institutions. So very highly regulated sectors, and complexity of those environments is really huge. And with complexity coming a lot unclarity. So there is like different silos, different departments. They dealing with different issues. Very often that, doesn't coming all together to basically define one agreement, really. What is important, what we focus on, what is needed, what has to be and what must to be done. So because of that disalignment, those organizations facing a lot of issues. So we like to concentrate on those sectors first. But obviously, we would like to have that tool available also to medium and small businesses, because for those businesses, there is different issues, like really understanding, and especially with prioritization, understanding really what has to be done first. So we would like to also help with that aspects.
Very, very neat. Okay, how does your platform help CEOs understand data security from a business perspective rather than a technical one?
So we bring in what I call dollar value. So what I mentioned about the calculator, what we're working on. So we bring technical aspects and non-technical assessments all together and calculate certain aspects from various angles, I would say, depend on the business. Bring what is called quantification of the risk. And via the quantification, you can really very clearly define what's supposed to be priorities, where is the highest risks to the operation, to the business. So that would be the main component to that allows to generate all those reports and build up the clarity. And obviously, in the long run, as I said, it's really business decision. What you want to do with that data and how you want to progress with it. But give you awareness and give you like conscious clarity, really, what's supposed to be done, and can be used also for CEOs to coming to the board with very clear suggestions, very clear, I would say, roadmap, really, for business. What next?
Okay, that makes sense. Starting a company in cybersecurity while developing software and offering services at the same time require a very strong focus and prioritization. Margaret, right now, what feels like the hardest parts of running and scaling your software companies?
So we develop on few levels, and obviously we have some people. So it's not only me, it's not only my business partner. We have also other people working with us and cooperate with us. But the biggest challenge, I would say, it's really depend on the different levels. So we are still very small company, and we still try to reach out to our clients, find our that we want to reach out to. So this is the one aspect. As a startup, obviously, still on financial way, we still try to find the financing. Right now, we pretty much bootstrapping, yes, still. So there is different levels of the challenges, I would say. But on the other hand, we have good team right now. And I think that's very good start for the startup too, and for consulting firm, when you have good team and you have people that are really very dedicated to work at what you do.
Of course. Now that makes sense. And okay, then beside money and team, is the biggest challenge market education, trust, or technical development?
I would say build up the trust, because cybersecurity and data protection, it's the area where I would say both coming. So education is one factor, and having build up the trust. So that's why I'm saying when you start as a startup, usually that's take time to find the client, because you have to build up the trust, and you have to also be able to build up the certain level of credibility. So that's two factors that has to come together. We're still working on it.
Of course.
Especially in sectors like healthcare and finance, where they very, as I said before, they are quite complex, and those factors are very important.
Yeah, you just mentioned it. I wanted to mention, as operating in the Canadian healthcare market created specific challenges.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's that's another factor. I would say that Canada healthcare market. So everything is defined, basically all cybersecurity requirements. First of all, is defined by privacy and requirements for data protection. In Canada, obviously, each province has their own regulations. It's for the healthcare, regulation that apply PIPEDA that apply for all Canada, but Quebec is exception from it. So there is no like one joint factor, one regulation across the board that it's easy to address and easy to apply. So that's definitely is the challenge, and is lack of that unity with those regulations. And yeah, that's making also certain caveats, I would say, with delivering the services and how organizations see cybersecurity as necessity.
Yeah. No, of course, if regulation change from state to state, that's not easy. From what you shared before, there's a clear gap between how business perceive data protection and the actual risks they face. Margaret, from your vantage point in cybersecurity and healthcare, what matters most right now, but is still underappreciated by CEOs?
I think there is higher understanding. It's more conversations about risk, really. But still, I think the main focus is about certifications or getting compliance. But what's happened after getting compliance? So from my personal experience, a lot of companies getting very relaxed. If they're getting compliant, whatever certification we're speaking about, they're getting quite relaxed. Compliance that's supposed to be just starting point for focusing on data protection and how to protect data within organization. And for a lot organizations, really, that is the stopping point. We are compliant, everything is fine. So right now we can just relax. And
I love it.
that's really very bad, because compliance is just allows you to really build up the framework within organization, how you dealing with and how you protecting your data. But that doesn't really, it's not something that give you 100% secure assurance that you secure, because you can be hacked in a minute. There is so many things and so many vectors that working towards organization every day. And you have to be mindful about those factors and be able to, apply certain solutions within your business to be on the top of those factors and monitor those factors. Yeah, and a lot of organizations kind of forgot about it. Sometimes it's coming finance, because when, especially a smaller organization, it's having, when you're compliant, you can bring kind of feeling, okay, we are secure now, so we don't have to, we spend quite a lot, we don't have to do nothing for time being. And that's also can be bad perception. I really love HIPAA, for example, regulations, where they clearly state being compliant is continuous process. So even you compliant, you have to build up, create the framework, and you have to follow that framework constantly. Only then you're compliant, not when you just tick the boxes.
Definitely. You need to be compliant all the time, going forward.
Yeah. It's really build up the frame that you operate with. That's is compliance for me, and understand all the risk factors and understand and prioritize it. So that would be the main that organizations should do. And still, it's a little bit misunderstanding all those concepts.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of companies misunderstand this concept and framework. You mentioned that your company is developing software while already delivering high value B2B services, which is a very, very strategic combination. Margaret, looking ahead 12 to 18 months, what does success realistically looks like for both of your software company?
I think, first of all, having regular clients. So that would be the first factor of our success, or returning clients. And secondly, for the software, obviously we're still developing, but as we release full software, having the clients and see that we can really bring the value to the industry, and that software would be as we intended to bring and raise that awareness of really an importance about building roadmaps and strategies for information and data protection strategy.
Okay, then you see the software becoming the main growth driver, right?
Yeah, it's really because that's really supposed, the software is intended to be your drive to have that strategy and have that roadmap in place, and then start rolling that as is intended. Obviously, when you understand what you're doing, that's wherever sector you are and whatever you're doing, it's applied to any organization with whatever sector, and on many levels, also project management, whatever project you're dealing with. It's very important to understand what you're doing, why you're doing, what is your goal, what is your objective. So that's the most important part, really. And if you know that, it's really very easy to strategize and move forward, and also protect yourself. Other aspect is obviously that for businesses, what I always saying that your business security is really your data security, is your business continuity. Because a lot of businesses really, they operate in digital way. There is businesses that 90% is just digital. So losing your assets by any means, that's mean losing the business, losing credibility in the eyes of the customer is losing your business. That's simple as that.
Yeah.
We want to just build up that mindset more.
No, that makes sense. No, you're totally right. Losing your data, you're losing your credibility, you're losing your customer, you're losing your business. And you don't want to lose your data. Simple as that. Okay, which part of the business will you prioritize first? Services or platform?
So we're going in parallel right now. I would say this is complementary for both of them. So it's hard to prioritize one over another. Obviously, right now, people really like technology and they like tools. But on the other hand, tools can be very good one, give you, allows you to basically do something that, when you're doing without the tool, is much harder. You're using spreadsheets, you're using other stuff. It's harder. But on the other hand, sometimes having just someone who just point you in correct direction, it's as much as valid. So that's going really, that
In
it's,
parallel.
yeah, it's complementary. So it's useful to have one, but it's also good have two good one. Have the second one, like consulting and be have the person who just point you in correct direction.
Yeah. There is the do it yourself or do it for you, and the do it for you is the services and hand on hand. And yeah, it's as important as the platform. Okay, then you make a point. Yes. What will you accelerate if you had fewer resource constraints? More money, more time?
So usually for our business or for customers?
What you will accelerate for your business?
Okay.
In your
So
business?
definitely I will concentrate on the software or push toward the software development. So that would be the first, the most important for me to push towards the business as we obviously develop the consulting side. But consulting is just our knowledge and our skills, whereas software required more sophistication and more resources.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. What key decision feels the most important for you right now as a founder?
So yeah, find some resources for that's basically what we're doing now. Try to find some resources for software development. Obviously, we have small team. So as I mentioned, I have very good team, 4 people right now working on site. But yeah, having those additional resources that would be great help to just speed up on development as we're going.
That makes sense. Great. Your journey is very relevant for funders building in technical and regulated sectors. Based on everything you have learned so far, what should CEOs and funders start or stop doing when it comes to cybersecurity and data protection?
I think so for the founders, very often obviously cybersecurity maybe is not important, and I have cases where they work on the development of the software, but they not consider certain factors. So they not consider, for example, the jurisdictions where they want to apply. That was years back during the COVID time. I work for company and I was data privacy officer. So we had to evaluate compliance of the startups who want to cooperate with that big company. Their solutions was really awesome, was really great. But because they hadn't considered the security and the security aspects with software development lifecycle, really, they have to back to the board and build up those solutions, sometimes from scratch. Obviously, the other problem was they want to operate in Europe and they were from US. So there was certain, privacy restraints and so on that they wasn't able to fulfill because again, they hadn't considered the market where they want to operate as they start building. That is the first things what I see. So that was like very apparent example. But right now, as I deliver the consulting services, that's also happening. And I see, especially startups, they more concentrate on development the product, more concentrate about really answering the simple business questions, where we want to operate, where our databases has to be, what is the restraints, regarding their jurisdictions, and at least build up certain cybersecurity features within their development. So they not think about that. They just want to deliver the product. And yeah, in the long run, there is a lot gaps, there is a lot issues, and they have to back to board and try to resolve that. So yeah, that's the main.
Yeah, that's a problem. What habit helped you the most since launching your companies?
I think consistency, that's very important, especially for the startups. It's self-drive and self-motivation, because when you work for company or you work somewhere, you know that you have to go to work. You know that you have to do things. And also you have very clearly defined roles and responsibilities where you are driving everything by yourself. You have to start building certain habits. You have to be able to just define like your personal role and be able to also ask for help and define, okay, I can't do something and I need help on that aspect. Because, you can go to the point where you want to do everything, but it's impossible. And it's lack of skills, lack of, different knowledge or capabilities. So yeah, you have to be able to ask for help. It's really changing a little bit mindset and learn about yourself quite a lot.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you maybe had answered my next question, but what advice will you give to a founder entering the cybersecurity space today?
So I really, as a founder, I think the most important is the concept, what you want to deliver, but it's also very important to evaluation what the market needs. So you might think your concept is good, but the evaluation of the market is very important. And the cybersecurity or data protection, again, it's really massive. It's really important to find the niche because and define that niche. So like, for example, in my case, I try to find the common factor, considering everything what I done and how I can just name as one thing. And that was the hardest because I did so much, and how you just narrow all of that as one thing that, can be defined on every stage of my work experience and what I really bring.
Definitely. I love it. I love that sentence. Thank you so much, Margaret. Thank you for taking the time. I really love your insights.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for inviting me. Lovely to chat with you.
Yeah, the very strong insight into your journey, your industry, and the work you're doing at Etuteki Labs and the other company. What's the name of the other company? The software company?
Is Dimarisk, but we still working on the name of the software. So as we know the name of the software, then yeah. So we have our YouTube channel, Etuteki Lab. We present different podcasts, and also I right now start creating the shorts. So like just small insights about certain case studies. Then we also have our website, etutekilab.com, and we are on Substack. So we have some articles that's, again, Etuteki Lab. Quite easy to find them. Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for taking the time, Margaret, and can't wait to do it again and see how you go, maybe in a year from now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And that's it for today's episode of AI Interconnect. And if you enjoy it, share it with someone who is building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building. Thank you. Bye bye.